Fifth Down Football Podcast. I am your host, Jaden, and today we're going to be recapping Week 13. Is it Week 13? Yes. Week 13 of the NFL season, as well as recapping championship weekend in college football a little bit here. And as we all know, the college football playoff selections have been made. A lot of people have voiced their opinions about it already. But before we do that, I'm gonna let you guys already know who I support, who I'm rocking with here. Alabama Crimson Tide, always and forever. So roll tide that we got in there. I know people again aren't happy about it. Oh well, hey, you know what? Things happen. But but we'll get to that soon. But what I want to talk about first here, uh, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. We're continuing to get better and grow. So we appreciate you guys' support with that. Check us out on all the socials: IG, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, wherever you can find us there, and make sure you follow us. So yeah, like I said, Week 13 NFL is a wrap up here. A lot of the games yesterday, had some upsets. A lot of very bad, ugly football to watch as well. And yeah, you can kind of tell as we're getting towards the end of the season here, who these teams really are, and their identities are starting to emerge and shape up into who they are. Some teams we know are non-contenders. They're in the bottom of the barrel. They're looking towards next season. Some teams are middle of the pack. It's like, hey, you know what? They're winning. They're finding ways to win. They're not, number one seeds. They're not juggernaut franchises, but they're finding ways to get these wins. They're staying alive in the playoff race. And then you got, of course, your top contenders, your heavyweights of each conference here. So definitely an interesting thing to watch as the season continues to wind towards an end. But some of the games that stood out to me yesterday, just watching there, definitely was, for one, I'll just start, with the Eagles and the 49ers game. This was a heavily anticipated matchup. The players of both sides kind of talking their smack a little bit, and we had some interesting things happen in this game. But I can assure you guys of this. The 49ers, you know, they came in there to Philly and they played good. They were physical and they imposed themselves against the Eagles there. I mean, it was a beatdown, to put it frankly. And the game didn't start out that way. It was kind of close, but then Kyle Shanahan and the crew started to figure out what they needed to do. Brock Purdy just went off, for lack of a better word, he went off, and it just turned into like I said, a beatdown. I mean, Purdy was over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. George Kittle had a good game. Deebo Samuel had a good game. Brandon Ayuk, when all those guys are playing great football together, and they're just going. Christian McCaffrey too. When they're just balling like the way they are, there is no stopping the 49ers. It'll be very hard to do so if they have everybody healthy, everybody playing at the level that we know that they can play at to the best of their ability. Then the 49ers are very hard to beat. And that yesterday's game proved that. Now I would have wanted this matchup to be in prime time on the Sunday Night Football, but of course we got the Chiefs and the Packers, which turned out to be a decent game. Except for the penalties and the officiating, which I will go on tangent here to say, right now, this moment, the NFL has got to do something about their officiating. It's been pretty bad. It's been bad for a long time now, especially within the last couple of years. You've had a lot of calls that have swayed games and things like that. I mean, of course, I know it's all about money and this and that, and it's like, what are you going to do with it? That's just how it's going to be, but something has to be done because there wasn't a very crucial non-call towards the end of the game on a deep ball. That probably should have been called, and it wasn't. So but hey, it is what it is. The Packers got the win there. We'll get to that in a second. But yeah, talking about the Eagles and the 49ers, Philadelphia, they've been finding ways to win. They don't look like they did last year. I think there is a noticeable difference between how they're playing offensively. It's like the same kind of spark just isn't there at the moment. It's kind of come in flashes here and there. but it hasn't been consistent like it was last year when they went all the way to the Super Bowl with that offense. Like I'm seeing little spurts of it, but I'm not seeing a consistent network of that offense just being playing to the way that it is capable of playing. I just haven't been seeing it from Philadelphia this year. Just hasn't been noticeable. I mean, I don't know what exactly the problem is. Some of the fans, they blame Brian Johnson, who's the offensive coordinator, and other people are blaming, Jalen Hurts, saying he's maybe not as good as we thought he was after he was an MVP candidate last year. So, go with that where you will. But to me, it just seems like, Philly, they've been one of those teams that, like I said earlier, they're finding ways to win. They've been finding ways to win. Had that crazy overtime win against the Bills last week, and then they beat the Chiefs previous week, and so they've been pulling these wins out over good teams. But you want to see them be a little bit more dominant if you're an Eagles fan. So that's something I know they're going to look forward to, as they got Dallas coming up next week. So they've already flushed this loss, and they're looking towards the Cowboys game, which is a very important game and a testament on both sides, on both teams, to see who's really for real. Dallas, listen, I've never been a fan of the Cowboys. Never been a big believer in the Cowboys at all. I mean, because they do the same thing every year in the playoffs. Every year, they do the same thing, and I believe this year will be no different. But they've been playing decent lately. A little bit better recently. Dak Prescott, he's doing his thing. So we'll see how long he can keep it up. But if they can beat the Eagles this week or this upcoming week, maybe we might have to start having some conversations. But still, I think when it comes down to the playoffs, your top teams are going to be the Eagles, the 49ers, the Lions, and possibly the Cowboys. Other than that, I don't see any other teams squeaking in there. So we'll see what happens when we get to that point. But yeah, very interesting game to say the least. San Francisco looked really good as we expected. Philadelphia got some things they got to clean up defensively, offensively as well. So we'll see how they do with that next week. Other notes and tidbits here throughout the league. So Tank Dell, rookie wide receiver for the Texans, he's injured. He tore his fibula, so he's out for the rest of the season. Horrible news there for the Texans, and they did get the win over the Broncos yesterday. So the Broncos' little magic streak is over. But, when you throw 3 interceptions, you're going to lose the game every time. You can't turn the football over and expect to win football games. You can't turn the ball over and expect to win many games. You can't have a lot of penalties and expect to win many games. You can't give up big plays for touchdowns and expect to win many games in this league. That's just not how it works in the game of football, especially at the professional level. So those are 3 things that, a lot of teams, a lot of coaches, they push on. It's like, hey, we can't turn the football over. We can't give up big plays for touchdowns. We can't have stupid penalties, because if we do those things, we will lose. Most of the time, you will lose when you do those things. You saw a lot of that yesterday. A lot of sloppy play calling, a lot of sloppy execution, from a lot of teams. Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. But switching gears here. Sorry. The Chiefs and the Packers game before we do switch gears to college football. The Chiefs and the Packers. The Chiefs guys are looking a little bit sluggish. I don't know. Kansas City's not looking like they usually do now. They're not looking how they usually do. So I think there's a little bit of concern to be had for the Chiefs if you're a Kansas City fan. And Taylor Swift was in attendance at the game, so I'm sure everybody saw that. I'm not going to be one of those people who's going to talk. I thought we had escaped it, but here we go again with the Taylor Swift stuff. But anyway, that aside, the Chiefs did lose. They only scored 19 points. The Packers put up 27 points. The Packers are playing good football, guys. The Packers are playing good football. Jordan Love is playing good football. He's got 22 touchdowns, 10 picks on the year, same numbers as Patrick Mahomes right now, which is surprising to hear. Patrick has been turning football over a lot this year. The Chiefs, I think people are starting to figure out how to limit the Chiefs as best they can. But at the same time, they don't have any receivers, really. I mean, you can't be running fade routes to Sky Moore. Some of the play calling for Kansas City wasn't that good either last night. And they definitely need to upgrade the receiver position going into next season, because what they're putting out there every week just isn't going to win it isn't going to win you much. Definitely not a championship right now the way they're playing. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, the Packers they're they're doing their thing. So we'll see how long that can how long they can keep that up. But yeah, so moving over to college football, obviously championship weekend is over. The college football playoff selections have been made. So your top teams are Michigan. You got Alabama. You got Texas. And you got Washington. Those are your top four seeds. So Michigan and Alabama will play in the Rose Bowl, and of course, Texas and Washington will play in the other bowl game. So yeah, now everybody's upset that FSU didn't make it in, and they were 13-0 and this and that. Now look, I'll say this, guys. Now I'm an Alabama fan, and I'm glad we made it in, and we did beat the number one seed in Georgia. And I guess that was convincing enough for the committee to let us in. But FSU now, granted, they had a great year, and Jordan Travis got hurt, and all things considered, and now they beat Louisville by 10 points, but doing it with the backup quarterback, that was, I guess you could say, impressive, so to speak, on the resume. I mean, they were undefeated. They finished the year undefeated. It's unfortunate for the Seminoles there, but hey, as is life, especially in the game of college football. So, we can go on a tangent about this all day long, but the truth of the matter is the selections have been made, and, it's a money grab at the end of the day. We all knew that there wasn't going to be, a college football playoff without an SEC team in it. If Georgia wasn't going to be in it, then Alabama was going to be in it. That's just the way it goes. It's the way it was. You can't put it any other way. It's all about money at the end of the day, ratings. Cash grabs. Like that's the committee, the NCAA. They want what's going to bring them attention. They want what's going to bring them viewers and more money and revenue, merchandise. And when you put an SEC team like Alabama in there, it's going to make people tune in. So that's just what it's all about, money at the end of the day, unfortunately. But that's just how it is. Prediction wise, these are going to be some interesting games. I'm going to definitely take Alabama here against Michigan. I think they have been coming to their own lately. Ever since the Texas game and the USF game, they've really looked good. Should have beaten some of their opponents more convincingly than they have throughout the season. But Jalen Milroe has improved a lot from the beginning of the season. I was very concerned with him at the beginning of the year starting, but, man, he's improved. He's gotten better. The defense has gotten better. They're flying to the football more, being a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more disciplined in the pass defense is what I've been seeing. Saw that in the Georgia game, a little bit better there. So anytime, you hold a team in college football under 20 to 24 points, especially a team like Georgia who's pretty much averaging like 30 or 40 every week, that's a good deal. And Georgia's got a good offense. Carson Beck is a good quarterback. They got a good running game with Dejon Edwards and Kenny McIntosh, Lat McConkey, good receiving core. Brock Bowers, two of them weren't that healthy. But overall, they beat a good Georgia team, and Georgia will now play FSU in the the Orange Bowl or something like that. We'll see what happens there. But and I was seeing this post on Instagram. It was like Mike Norvell and Kirby Smart were on the Zoom call, the coach's Zoom call for the game, and both of them just looked like completely just like they didn't want to be there. They just looked like they were just out of it. And I understand. It's like, yeah, we were left out of the playoff. We were upset. And so that was just funny. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I got Washington over Texas and Alabama over Michigan. So my prediction is that Alabama and Washington will meet in the national championship game. Those are my predictions. But of course, we'll see. Those bowl games won't be played until the 1st of January of the new year. But some of the other bowl games happening here, over the next couple of weeks will be coming on here. You guys can catch those. But overall, great championship weekend. A lot of good football. A lot of angry fans. A lot of angry FSU fans. A lot of angry college football fans. But hey, it is what it is. That's the game for you. So That pretty much wraps us up here for this episode of Jay's Fifth Down, guys. Thank you for tuning in, watching, subscribing to the channel. We appreciate it. Please do subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure you check us out here on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify, all audio podcast platforms. Make sure as well you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. For up-to-date news and updates and everything like that. So everything football related. We'll see you guys next time. Have a great day. Good luck to everybody on their finals. All my college students out there, fellow college students, I know you guys got finals coming up these next couple weeks or whatever. So good luck, and we'll see you next time.